Order the open session at 7:01 p.m. I'd like to ask our student board member, Natalie Beltran, representing Summit High School, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the President of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call will reflect that all board members and cabinet are present. Are you going to do the oath of office with her right now? Yes, you just did the oath. Okay, Dr. Mae Vollmer.
Thank you very much. We're very excited to have a new student board member joining us this evening, Natalie Beltran from Summit High School. Welcome. I want to just tell you a little bit about Natalie before we do the oath of office. She says that one of the highlights of her educational experience in Desert Sands is enjoying her time at Summit High School as a junior. Her hobbies include reading, drawing, singing, music, television shows, and this is my favorite of her hobbies, math. She also has worked to gain leadership experience while at Summit High School by participating in ASB, and she volunteers with the local school blood drives that they have. And we ask all of our new student board members to share an interesting and unique fact about themselves, and so this is what Natalie said about herself. She said, "I'm able to adapt quickly to different environments while also being able to communicate with others that are unfamiliar to me," and I think that's an excellent quality. So congratulations, we're very excited to have you, and if you want to meet me out front, we'll do the oath of office.
Well, welcome, Natalie. Do you have anybody in the audience you'd like to introduce that's here to support you?
I have my mom, Rosa, and my sister, Cecilia, here in the audience. And staff members from Summit High School.
Okay, thank you. All right, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 17th, 2023?
So moved. Pierce?
Oh. Okay, who made the motion? Oh, Trish did. Okay, I didn't hear.
We have to do that because we were here, but remember the first item, I just wanted to remind everybody.
Yeah, we let sometimes. Oh, remind me. Oh, okay, yes, I got it. I won't jump on it this next
Okay.
time.
And you seconded it, Mr. Duran? Is that what you said? Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question, preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Board meeting addenda. Dr. May Bulmer, is there an addenda to tonight's agenda?
Yes, actually there is. There was an error on one of the uploaded documents when the agenda was posted. There was a posting of the calendar for the 24-25 school year, which had the incorrect Thanksgiving break indicated on it. The incorrect version showed Thanksgiving break being from the 18th of November to the 22nd. It's actually the 25th of November to the 29th. So the board's been provided with updated copies, and there were also copies made available for the members of the audience this evening.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda of the regular meeting of November 14th, 2023?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question, preferential vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Community staff student recognition, Dr. May Bulmer.
Yes, I'd like to turn it over to our Public Information Officer, Mary Perry.
Thank you very much. And I did bring the official Desert Sands photographer with me, so Sean is going to be taking pictures. So I want to congratulate a number of Desert Sands schools, and I know you'll join me in appreciating their hard work for being designated Common Sense schools. So as you know, the Common Sense Recognition Program works with schools to provide a positive culture in digital learning. And the program assists with professional learning, lesson plans, tips, and resources for engaging students and families while learning about media and technology, providing the educators with opportunities to reflect on their own classrooms and school-wide digital practices. It was designed and developed in partnership with Project Zero at the, as I say, Harvard University. And each lesson takes on real challenges and digital dilemmas that students face today, giving them the skills they'll need to succeed as digital learners and citizens of tomorrow. So principals, when I call your name, if you could come on up and stand here so Sean can do a lovely portrait of you, that would be wonderful. And not all of them are here. I believe Indio High School, Principal Lawson is actually in Washington, D.C., if I'm not mistaken. So Indio High School. La Quinta High School, Principal Greg O'Mara. Page Middle School, Principal Nicole Gary. Indio Middle School, Principal Marcy Herrera. And I don't see Todd, but Glen Middle School, Principal Todd Biggert. And Palm Desert Charter Middle School, Principal Debbie Dolan sends her regrets for not being here. Earhart Elementary, Principal Paul Kraft. And I don't think I saw Brian, but Franklin Elementary School Principal Brian Grass, EDD. But I did see Karen, so Hoover Elementary School Principal Karen Shibler, EDD. And Brad Fisher, Principal at Johnson Elementary, sends his regrets. And I don't think I saw Jessica, but Kennedy Elementary School Principal Jessica Morrow. Principal Craig Christensen of Lincoln Elementary sends his regrets. Principal Amy Zink of Madison Elementary. And I didn't see Christy, but Principal Christy Joyner, Monroe Elementary. I also didn't see Jeff, but Principal Jeff Hiskin, Oliphant Elementary. But I know the next three are here. Principal Mark Baldwin, Reagan Elementary. Principal Dan Martinez from Roosevelt Elementary. And Principal Melissa Pisano-Grunnett from Van Buren Elementary. Congratulations to all of you. I know the hard work that you've put into this. I really appreciate it. I'd also like to have a couple of principals step forward and have you join me in a round of applause for 4 principals who've been named Common Sense Educators. These 4 individuals have completed the 4 steps working with the Common Sense program. And those steps are participating in a Common Sense course or webinar, teaching a digital citizenship lesson, sharing resources with their school's families, and writing a reflection on what it means to be a common sense school. So please join me in a round of applause for Indio Middle School's principal, Marcia Herrera. And the other 3 principals aren't here, but they're Brad Fisher from Johnson, Craig Christensen from Lincoln, and Jeff Hiskin from Oliphant. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Introduction of new or recently promoted employees. Dr. Hyde.
Yes, I'm excited to announce. We have 2 people to announce today. The first one is Dr. Dennis Lotz, prevention intervention psychologist. Mr. Lotz, if you could just come up to the, or Dr. Lotz, pardon me, come to the dais. So Dennis Lotz earned his Bachelor of Science degree in psychology from the University of Phoenix and his Master of Arts and Doctorate of Psychology degrees in educational psychology from Alliant International University. Dr. Lotz shares that his past roles as a CIF sports official, youth advocate / life coach, and substance abuse counselor have all taught him compassion, patience, and the importance of evidence-based practices. He states that as a school psychologist now, he draws upon these experiences every day to provide the best possible support to the students under his care. On a personal note, Dennis says that he is grateful for his wife, a fantastic human being, super mom, former special education teacher, and new school psychologist working on completing her dissertation on dyslexia. He would also like to thank his mother for being a solid role model throughout his life. Welcome, Dennis. Please say a few words.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for hiring me. I haven't had this much fun since I was a little kid when my mom was at the school board. I used to run around behind the scenes and have a lot of fun. And I feel like I'm having a lot of fun here today. I really appreciate being here, and I look forward to serving everybody here. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. I'm honored to introduce and ask Andrea Escarcega to come on up. She's our new prevention intervention psychologist. Andrea earned her educational specialist degree in school psychology, Master of Arts degree in educational psychology, and pupil personnel credential from University of Massachusetts Global. Andrea started as a paraeducator with Desert Sands Unified and most recently completed her psychologist internship in Desert Sands. Andrea describes herself as a proactive and engaged professional focused on partnering with parents and guardians, school staff, community members, and students to encourage growth, responsibility, achievement, and excellence in academics, career exploration, and well-being. She would like to thank her family and mentors for all of their guidance and support. She looks forward to giving back to her community and the district. Lastly, today is Andrea's birthday. Aww. Happy birthday, Andrea.
Thank you. I would like to start by saying thank you to the Board of Education. It is an honor to represent Desert Sands Unified School District as a prevention and intervention psychologist. I do have my family here. I would like to say thank you for all the support, as well as thank you for those who have helped me along this journey. And most importantly, thank you to my mother, Lucy Escarcega. Yeah. She's been an awesome support system and has really encouraged me to pursue a career in education, so thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, so you two don't go anywhere because we're going to do comments, so. All right, so board and superintendent comments. Ms. Beltran, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Okay. Mr. Duran?
I have none this evening, thank you.
Okay. Dr. Watson?
Okay, so I had a busy few weeks. I participated in some site visits with President Porras. We attended Washington Charter in Lincoln. I also visited Carter, Roosevelt, Palm Desert High School, Shadow Hills, and met with two of our new principals at Carrillo, Mr. Fosselman, and at Earhart, Mr. Kraft. They were all great visits, and it was good to see the positivity that both of our two new principals are bringing to our students at those two schools. Thank you to all of the principals that came tonight. I always enjoy seeing all of you here representing your schools and your students. I am a little bit unique as a board member, and I'm also a parent. And so in the last few weeks, I got to participate with my own kids, one in the mini muster, which I think is a great community partnership that we have with the fire departments, and I think it's a lot of useful information. I remember participating it when I was at Gerald Ford as a third grader, and the kids always have a blast. So I'm appreciative for the firefighters that came out and gave all that information to our students, and I hope in the future we can do it at more of our schools. And the other thing I went to was a performing arts performance at the McCollum, and I appreciate that partnership that we have with the McCollum because it gives some of our kids an experience that they're never going to get outside of what they get at school. And I was with my daughter's 5th grade class, and I was sitting next to a little boy, and he looked at me and he said, "Have you ever been here before? This place is amazing." And I said, "Well, actually, I have been here before." And halfway through the performance, he looked at me and he said, "This is the best thing ever." So I was so grateful to be a part of, not just with my own kids, with other kids, and seeing the great partnerships that we have with our community.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes, I wasn't able to make any school visits this past few weeks, but I did participate in the suicide prevention walk that was put on in Palm Desert on Saturday, October 28th. It was very inspiring to see the families and community members that carry on in spite of losing somebody to suicide, and I think that's a very important topic that we take seriously with the mental health issues going on in the world. So I was glad to take part in that. And then many of us board members were at the Palm Desert Golf Cart Parade celebrating that city of 50 years and enjoying the parade and the different schools that participated in that event. I just wanted to congratulate the Common Sense schools and principals for their achievements in teaching the digital citizenship and education to the kids. That's so important with so many scams and negative things on social media that kids learn how to behave and engage in a safe way. And also congratulations to our two new interventional and, what's the full title?
Prevention, intervention,
Prevention and intervention. We prevent it first. Intervention
Behavior,
psychologists.
yes.
Thank you, and welcome to Desert Sands. And you were already here, so welcome in your working up through your achievements and getting your education. That's great.
Thank you.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Just, some of the events that have already been mentioned, in addition to we had an opportunity to attend an AI conference. A lot of great things coming up with artificial intelligence, so looking forward to see how our district's going to respond to that. Additionally, City of Indio, we had their State of the City address and building connections, relationships, when we consider what's going to be coming forward with Desert Sands in the next couple of months is important. But our school psychologists, we had this past week got a chance to celebrate them, and acknowledge them for their work. So thank you to our school psychologists who are doing some amazing work and really lead a lot of the things going on at the sites. But I do want to echo great to see the principals here. They deserve a great big shout out. Principals do so much. They deserve that recognition, and it's critical because they're the face of the school. The good or the bad, they're the face of the school. And I believe all of you have common sense. So I acknowledge all the schools, not just a few, but definitely stand out to those who got recognized. And welcome to our new employees for taking on the challenge. We look forward to the supports you're going to provide everyone, and know that you're in great hands and great support system in place. So welcome to you, and look forward to the night.
Well, I'm not going to go over everything because it's already been covered, except for we had coffee with Kelly on Halloween, which was really fun at Lincoln, and it was neat because everybody, even the principals, got dressed up, so it was really a lot of fun. And let's see what else. Trustee Alvarez and Dr. May Vollmer and I attended the RCOE Fall Joint Meeting, and then we had our governance workshop with the Board of Education, which is always wonderful. We really learned a lot. We learned a lot about each other. We really can't do a lot of talking up here, but when we have the governance workshops, it's really great. And anyway, I just want to congratulate Dr. Lotz. Congratulations. We're happy to have you here. And I think it's awesome that you talked about your mom when you were a little guy running around when she was on the board. So that's really amazing. It's great to have the family support. And Andrea, I'm so proud of you, and I know your mom is so proud of you. I love your mom and your Thea Nora. And Nora just could not stop talking about how excited they are for you. So you do have a wonderful family with wonderful support, and so congratulations. And do you guys mind if we sing happy birthday to you? Can we do that? Sure. Okay. All right. It's Andrea. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andrea. Happy birthday to you. All right. Thank you, Dr. May Vollmer.
That was awesome. Happy birthday. That'll go down in the memory books, right? As a birthday song. So congratulations once again to the both of you. Very excited. We also, this past week, of course, celebrated Veterans Day. So I just publicly wanted to say thank you again to all the veterans that have served and continue to serve. Also, it's great to have the principals here. And I will tell you, having been the former Chief Technology Officer, common sense media or digital citizenship is very, very important. And so I think it takes great leadership from the principals to carry forth that vision and inspire your staff, but it takes the work of the teachers to teach the lessons. So for those of you in the room, thank you so much for what you do with your students each and every day. And then I want to give a huge congratulations and shout out. Some of you may have heard or seen the news feed plop up on your phone, but tonight Palm Springs Unified announced that Tony Signoret is their new superintendent. So I want to just give him a huge congratulations. Yes, we are very, very fortunate to have Tony work here in Desert Sands for a very short stint of time. But we know that Palm Springs is in great hands under his leadership, so wanted to give him a shout out. And then also just publicly wanted to thank the students and the staff, but really the students at Palm Desert Charter Middle School and Lincoln Elementary School. President Porras mentioned that we had the coffee with Kelly there recently, and it's always a wonderful time to interact with the parents. That's really one of the main reasons that we have those at the school sites. But the students more and more are coming out, and I'm just so impressed with our students that we have in Desert Sands all the time. And so it was great to interact with them. And it was great to have some of the principals show up. Ken and Barbie from Earhart made an appearance. So I'm not sure what they were doing away from Earhart. I think they were scoping out the lay of the land for the next coffee in Kelly. But they were very cute in their costumes. So, yeah.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to give everybody an opportunity to go ahead and go have ice cream or whatever to celebrate. unless you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting. So, thank you. Thank you for coming. Bye, Andrea. Bye, Lucy. Okay, public comment on open session items, communications from the floor. In accordance with the bylaws of the board, number 9323, 62519, time is reserved for oral communication by members of the Board of Education or by citizens. Citizens wishing to be heard on agenda items, regular or special meetings, and/or non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, regular meetings only, shall have a 3-minute limit. A total of 20 minutes will be reserved for public comment on each item. The board president, with the concurrence of the board, may extend this time if deemed appropriate due to the number of citizens who wish to speak on an item. In accordance with the law, the board cannot take action on any matter not appearing on the agenda as indicated in the bylaws of the board, number 9232.2, 62519. Individual speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda, regular or special meeting, or non-agenda item, regular meeting. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item for 20 minutes. Please be advised that there is the possibility that some items discussed during public comment will not be developmentally appropriate for minors. We ask that parents use their discretion when choosing to remain in the boardroom during public comment. If you choose to leave the room, you may wait in the overflow location at the end of the hallway, and you will be notified when public comments have concluded. So we have a few online comments that want to be read. This is from Catherine Corson. Hello, DSUSD board members. My name is Catherine Corson, and I am writing in this evening as the president of John Glenn Middle School PTO. We are excited to see that our proposal of a new mural for the school has been placed on the agenda, item 23, number 6. This project has taken us several months, and a lot of time and consideration has been put into it. Per the district requirements, we were able to receive 3 different artists' perspectives for this piece. With collaboration and approval of the school staff and students, we are delighted to present the rendering from Keith Bloom. So many great ideas were discussed with each artist, and his rendering was able to capture every single one of our intentions. Our aim with this mural is to promote positivity, encouragement, and inspiration to our students and staff each day as they enter the campus. With this piece, Keith has not only captured the true lifelike image of astronaut John Glenn that our school is named after, he has also included real-life images of the Friendship 7 capsule that John Glenn was in when he orbited the Earth in 1962. The Discovery STS-95 spacecraft is also represented and shown in the little girl's arms. This rendering not only includes words of encouragement and positivity, but it also incorporates all of our IB attributes. You can see each one of them is written on the spines of the books that will be in a 3-dimensional stack wrapping around the front and sides of the columns. To top it off, there is a graduation cap and diploma crowning the stack of books. This mural will be seen by all students and staff each day as they enter our campus, and we believe it not only promotes positivity and inspiration, but also represents the high level of achievement expected from all who attend John Glenn Middle School. Our PTO is honored to provide the funding required for this project, and we hope today that you will make the approval for this mural installation. Thank you for your time and consideration. Tricia Ryan. Good evening, DSUSD School Board. Regarding the draft of the calendars for 24-25 and 25-26 school years, There are still issues that aren't addressed when the start date is so early. Once again, I want to emphasize that safety should be the number one concern for this board, as it is for at our school sites and by PE teachers. I do not know my students in August, but to start around Labor Day and go a few extra days in June, we do know our students and can better address their needs for safety if there is extreme heat. As all of our desert farmers know, the overnight temperatures in June drop enough to cool the ground temperatures, but that doesn't happen in August. Everyone with a swimming pool is aware of the temperatures difference in June versus August. When you add the humidity in August, it is just unsafe. As one PE teacher, I teach 280 plus students daily, and I take that very seriously and would like to feel supported when we have asked for reasonable accommodations. Did the spring calendar survey results support this calendar? Can those results please be shared with those of us who have asked to review them? There is a push for a spring bond, and PE facilities are on it. So why not wait until that bond and those facilities are approved and in process? Again, this is a major safety concern. There was a PE student who died in Riverside County this August 29th in an outdoor PE class. There was no public parent or staff outcry when the calendar started on or around Labor Day, but we are the ones who have now experienced it, and it does not safely work. There are ways to adapt the high school calendar with online learning so that the safety of the middle and elementary students and staff are not put at risk. Thank you for your consideration on this important safety matter. Stacy Jackson. Putting a classroom and curriculum together for back-to-school nights and then start of school for students and parents in only 2 days, with one being a full day of meetings, plus grade level meetings, etc., is unreasonable. Also, starting on Friday again, this just gives the district 4 work days from most of us while only paying for 2 days. Do the people that select the dates even teach? My site had many that wanted more prep days at the start of the school. What were the results of this calendar survey? Okay. Joseph Moreno. Hi, Joseph. Good. Yes, please. Yeah, speak into the mic so that our people online can hear you as well. Yeah, if it's too low, you can.
That's fine.
Yeah.
My voice carries. I love the 3 minutes too. That's awesome. I'd love to be on the clock. Well, first of all, thank you, board members, for allowing me the time to talk this evening, in addition to some of the individuals that are with me. I'm Joseph Moreno, father of 3. My youngest child is a junior at La Quinta High School. She's a softball player. I've gone to school with some of you and been a lifelong DSUSD. I was going to trip over that. DSUSD. I'm attendee, so I appreciate your guys' time. Allow us the time to give voice to a matter that we think is very, very, very important. That matter is the La Quinta High School softball field and its lacking facilities. While the boys have benefited from a multi-million-dollar complete redo, I believe in excess of $6 million. But before I speak about that and the obvious glaring issues, I want everyone to know that this group has followed the chain of command, working first with Athletic Director Ruiz, Principal Amara, both of which were extremely helpful with this entire process. So I know that Mr. Amara already left, but it was a big thank you to him, and I'd let them know that already too. Our conversations began in 2022 when construction was well underway for the La Quinta boys baseball field. All the time, our scoreboard hadn't worked in a year. The girls were playing on dead grass filled with potholes and uneven surfaces, and the infield was no better. The infield was extremely uneven and concrete hard in some spots. This does not provide for optimal or safe conditions for softball activities. And if you don't believe me, Sophia has some scars to show it on her legs from sliding into what is concrete. Mm-hmm. The issue was that no one had enough insight from this board or anyone else to, at the very least, check in on our girls and their facilities when they broke ground with the boys. The optics are deplorable. I'm hard pressed to believe that no one thought this wouldn't be at some point an issue, or that on the board's behalf, but that no one was concerned of the perceived Title IX issues. We all care about our school, every single one of us that has come here tonight, and our district, which is the singular reason why the press hasn't been notified and any other actions have not, as of yet, been taken. We are hopeful that this board, our board, together, will do what needs to be done immediately to rectify these inequalities and afford our ladies the facilities and opportunities that this board and La Quinta High School has already given to our boys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I feel like my mic's working.
Before my timer starts, I have a brochure that's from the California Board State Association, and it's approved by CIF, that has some Title IX information. Am I allowed to distribute that brochure or no? Let me just say thank you for your time, and thank you for letting us know about Tony Signori. I work for Palm Springs Unified as a teacher, so I'm very excited to have him. My name is Jamie Maurer, and I am the parent of Lauren Maurer, who is a senior at La Quinta High School. Let me just back up and start with that I am so excited for the baseball boys to have their amazing field. It is beautiful, and one of my top 10 experiences of my daughter's experience as a high schooler was following them to Fullerton when they played in the CIF playoffs. Amazing, I loved it. They have been without a home field for so long. It's been almost 18 months, and I'm excited for them to get settled, to feel more comfortable in their surroundings, and chase their CIF title again, as they did 2 years ago. So good luck to them. But I'd like to speak on Title IX, and I'm going to speak in what Title IX says. Title IX is a federal law that was passed in 1972 to ensure that male and female students and employees in educational settings are treated equally and fairly. It protects against discrimination based on sex. The preamble of Title IX and the Education Amendment states that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied of benefits, or be subject to discrimination under educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. And then in Ed Code 221.7 A and B, it states that it is the intent of the legislator that opportunities for participation in athletics be provided equally to male and female pupils. Notwithstanding any other provisions of law, no public fund shall be used in connection with any athletic program conducted under the auspices of the school district governing board or any student organization within the district which does not provide equal opportunity for both sexes for participation and use of the facilities. Facilities and participation include, but are not limited to, equipment and supplies, scheduling of games and practice time, compensation for coaches, travel arrangements, per diem, locker rooms, and medical services. And I think we can agree that the allocated resources are a Title IX violation. It was a violation when the boys were provided with a charter bus in 2002 for CIF playoffs and the girls were given a school bus. It was a violation when the boys are given more preseason games than the girls. It's a violation when the boys are provided a 7th period practice and weightlifting opportunities. It's a violation when fall ball is provided for the boys and not for the girls district-wide. It's a violation when the Indio High School JV team is allocated $600,000 for lights and the La Quinta baseball team is allocated a multi-million-dollar field with a bullpen and a batting cage, and the girls have neither. Let's not forget where we were last year with fighting for a working scoreboard and improving our field. My concern is that the current bond does not include any provisions for sport athletics and only PE facilities. Thank you.
No? This is your daughter.
Hello, my name is Lauren Maurer, and I'm currently a senior at La Quinta High School. I have been lucky enough to be a part of the La Quinta High School varsity softball team since my freshman year. It's been a joy of my high school experience. I love the positive environment that Coach Bree creates and the lasting friendships that I have made, and I hold my hat to the success of the program that this has had. If you're unaware, the LQ softball team is the most successful in the Coachella Valley. We have secured the league title every year for the past 13 years. My sophomore and junior year, we went undefeated 15-0. I love the opportunity to boast about our success. Last year, we outscored our opponents 125-8. As Dr. Wilson has stated, this is not a bad news Bears team. Can you think of any other team in the Valley that has done this? I don't think so. Yet, our facilities that we can all agree are below par, run down, and unsafe. Softball is one of the fastest growing sports at the moment. In 2021 and 2022, the Women's College World Series exceeded the viewership over the Men's College World Series. Not to mention, in Cathedral City, they will host the 20th annual Marionetta Classic, which is the largest and most prestigious softball tournament in college sports. Softball will continue to grow, and it's at your best interest to invest. Teachers, administrators, and the society are constantly always trying to persuade girls to join clubs and sports, yet there is a cycle of inequality. Being faced with these inequalities has produced emotions of frustration, disappointment, and anger. The disappointment we feel in your support has not hindered our ability to excel in our sport, though. We are very aware of our rights to create an equitable environment for our future generations. Baseball should not be prioritized over other sports due to popularity, success, or community interests. So I thank you in advance for your generosity to the baseball facilities and fairness that you will be providing to the LQ softball team. We truly appreciate the equal amount that you will provide to my organization, and your thoughtfulness will not go unnoticed. We know that you will be fair and take this opportunity to provide everything to the girls' team that has been provided to the boys' team. We as a team know that you will make it a priority to award us equal to the boys and not use funding as an excuse, as it is irrelevant who funds these benefits, as they must be equal for all. Because of your efforts to match facilities awarded to the boys' baseball team, you will create a more inclusive and equitable environment for the generations to come. We, the LQ softball team and my senior class, thank you for your support, our tradition. Thank you for supporting our tradition of success and making us feel equal to our male peers. Thank you again.
Thank you, Lauren. Barbara Bell.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Bell, and I am a product of Desert Sands Unified School District. My daughter Jenna is a junior at La Quinta High School. Jenna's been playing softball since she was 4 years old and is very excited and proud to play for the Blackhawks. For the past 2 years, the varsity softball team has been undefeated in league play. These ladies and their coaches work very hard to bring respect and success to La Quinta High School softball, and we are all very proud of their accomplishments. My son graduated from La Quinta High School in 2021. While at LQ, he played baseball. And for 4 years, we were told the fields were going to be renovated and accessibility would be improved. Sadly, my dad was never able to attend any of my son's games because he could not safely get onto the field. This was heartbreaking to a grandfather who loves the game of baseball and enjoyed watching his grandson grow up on the ball field. While it is very exciting to see the changes finally taking place on the baseball field, it is both unreasonable and extremely unfair that the baseball team is getting a new state-of-the-art facility while the softball team has to beg to get the basics just to have playing fields that are safe. It is unfortunate when the decisions were made as to which parts of La Quinta High School would be renovated that the funds were not evenly divided between male and female sports. While there are many things that deserve attention, here are just a few. The dugouts do not provide shade, and the JV dugout barely has an adequate bench for the girls to sit on. Unlike the baseball dugouts, there is no signage to show school spirit or encouragement for the players who work so hard to continue La Quinta's dominance on the softball field. There are no lights on the JV field, which means that parents of JV players either have to leave work early to attend an afternoon game or miss seeing their child play at all each week because the games have to be played at 3:15. There are no designated bullpens for the pitchers to warm up in. Therefore, they are forced to use the small space in front of a dugout or the small space on the side of the dugout where spectators sit and small children often play while their parents watch the game. The girls have no place to store their equipment during the day and often rely on the kindness of teachers who will allow them to leave their bags in the classroom, or they have to carry their bags around campus with them all day. My daughter Jenna is a catcher, and as such, she has a very large equipment bag. It is near impossible for her to find a safe place to leave her equipment. Finally, there are often more gopher holes on the field than players. It is only a matter of time before this results in serious injury to a player or a parent. I could go on, however, I will finish with this. The girls are not asking for better than the boys. They are simply asking for fair, and they deserve at least that much from the district. Please do the right thing and don't make the girls wait as long as the boys had to wait for a facility that is both safe and accessible.
Thank you. Rabago, is that right? Did I say it right? Sorry. I didn't want to mispronounce it, so how do you say your last name?
Ravago.
Okay.
Good evening all. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. Many things I said. I'm just gonna try to be as quick as possible. I'm just gonna come from my heart, okay, as a parent of La Quinta softball player. So just hear me like everybody else here. So today we stand before you to address a matter of equity and fairness in our high school athletic facilities. While we take pride in the strides that have been made in supporting our baseball program, it's essential that we turn our attention to the needs of our softball program, ensuring that every student athlete has an equal opportunity to excel. Our commitment to Title IX is not just a legal obligation, it's a commitment to fairness, equal opportunities, and the empowerment of all our students. The dedication and hard work put into enhancing our baseball facilities have not gone unnoticed. The upgraded fields, improved amenities, and thoughtful planning showcase a deep understanding of the importance of providing a top-notch environment for our players. Softball, like baseball, teaches valuable life skill, teamwork, discipline, and resilience. It is a sport that deserves equitable attention and resources. Our girl athletes should have access to facilities that match the standard sets for their boys' counterparts. This is not only about meeting requirements, it's about providing an environment where every student, athlete can thrive. Evening Lights provide a solution offering flexibility for practices and games that align with school and family commitments. It's an investment for the girls in our softball program, creating opportunities for them to pursue their athletic dreams while balancing their academic responsibilities. Investing in our softball program isn't just an act of compliance, it's an investment in the future success of our softball athletes. It's an acknowledgement that their dreams and aspirations on the field are just as valid and important as those as their baseball peers. Let's not merely meet the bare minimum standards, let's exceed them. Let's create a softball facility that not only satisfies Title IX requirements, but stands as a testament to our commitment to fairness, equality, and the well-rounded development of every student athlete in our high school. In conclusion, let us embark a journey to ensure that our softball program receives the attention and resources it deserves. By doing so, we not only uphold the principles of Title IX, but also foster an environment where all our students can pursue their athletic passions with the same vigor and support. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our public comments. Now we're on to number 14, information. Head Start program reports for July and August 2023, and disposal of surplus property report per resolution number 02, 2023-2024. Staff conference items, Dr. May Vollmer.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to turn over the first item to Dr. Hyde.
Okay, I'm excited to introduce two members of my team, Dr. Dan Borgen and Dr. Rudy Wilson, who will be presenting on teacher recruitment, hiring, and support.
Thank you, Dr. Hyde. President Porras, board members, Superintendent May Ballmer and Cabinet. We're here tonight to present some information on our teacher recruitment, hiring, and retention, and support. So it's no secret that we are currently in the midst of teacher shortage around the nation. This slide shows you just 3 different snapshots of what we're dealing with teacher shortage. The first set of graphs under the United States shows us the top graph demonstrates the number of students that are enrolling in teacher prep programs at the college and university level. The bottom graph then shows how many students are completing teacher prep programs, in this case in the United States. And you'll notice from those numbers a decline in 10 years. For instance, in the teacher prep enrollment in the year 2012, there was 880,000 students enrolled in teacher prep programs. 10 years later, we're down to 591 and some change students that are enrolling in those programs. Of those enrolled in the programs, you can see the big number there on the bottom, 160,000 students completed the teacher prep programs in the year 2022. Likewise, in California, you'll see those graphs show you the decline in California of students that are enrolling in and completing teacher prep programs. In 2022, 39,616 students were enrolled in teacher prep programs compared to 47,000 10 years prior. Completing those programs in 2022, we had about 15,245 students in the state of California. The box in that graph there shows LA Unified School District has a total teacher population of 24,769. So you can see as a state, we are producing 15,000 teachers, whereas one school district in our state, LA Unified, requires 24,729 teachers to run their schools. The last set of graphs is Idaho. I included this because I go through these graphs and I just kind of look at trends across the states. When we look for gathering teachers and hiring teachers and recruiting teachers, we try to find where they are, which states are producing the most teachers. You can see Idaho is kind of an anomaly in that they are kind of in an upswing. They literally produced 1,594 teachers that completed their programs, which was higher than 10 years ago. And so looking at that information, we then look at the second part of our teacher shortage issue, and that's the uptake in resignations and retirements. This graph here shows you just our school district, the retirements and resignations in the last 3 years. And you will notice that it's increased significantly. And so when we look at the teacher shortage, the supply is not there, but then you also look at in Desert Sands and like many other school districts, the demand is getting greater. So with this, we are constantly establishing and refining a recruitment plan. And our plan is how do we get the word out? How do we talk about Desert Sands? How do we get the word out to folks that Desert Sands School District is in need of the best teachers and wants the best teachers? We do that in social media. We have a solid online presence. We also then look at that graphic in the right is some of the teacher job fairs that we attend. We're looking for, obviously, every teacher job fair in the state we want to attend. We want to recruit, hire some of those 60,000 that we're producing in California, or was it 60,000, whatever it was. We want those teachers to come here, right? We also then go out and look for some of our high need areas, math, science, special ed. We're not producing, our programs aren't producing the amount of candidates that we need to fill the positions across the state. And so we need to go out and we go to certain job fairs that we know produce more candidates that have math credentials, that have special ed credentials. We've expanded our relationships with our universities and colleges. We're going out, we're not only getting the word out, but we're physically going out to let these programs know about Desert Sands and what we have here and what we need. We have those conversations to try to get those teachers to come to our schools and work for us. The last thing I want to talk about in a new program that we're so proud of is our classified to certificated program. This is where we offer for some of our classified staff a program that they can complete their teaching credential through grant money for us. Since we started this program, we have 5 of our classified folks who have completed the certificated portion of it and are now teachers for us, right? And currently there are 9 more of our classified folks that are enrolled in that program. So part of getting the word out is we've joined with Jan Diaz, who is our communication specialist for Desert Sands, and we did some discovery in that we thought we were in it with technology and we were doing social media, but what we found out was we weren't spreading it out wide enough. Our social media net wasn't spread out wide enough, and we weren't touching the people that we needed to touch. So the graphic on the right shows what we did last year. We expanded our reach. We paid a little bit more to get our radius of influence broader. So the inner circle is what kind of where our message went last year, which was just kind of Southern California, right? That wider circle with a little more boost to our social media program expanded that out into Nevada, into Arizona, and we actually saw evidence from the influence on Arizona because we had, for the first time, candidates from Arizona applying to Desert Sands. So that's how we've been a little bit proactive in trying to get the word out. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Wilson to talk about our job fairs.
Good evening. There we go. So we have made the commitment to go out of the state, and you can see from the graphic up there, we attended 35 job fairs last year. 12 were in state and 23 were out of the state. And out of that, we had 49 conditional offers, and 21 of those are currently in our classroom. One question that you may ask is why just the 21? What you're going to find is when we go out of state, our incentives are pretty much on par with other states, and so would be our compensation for our staff. So it becomes a matter of finding folks that want to come out to California in particular, which could be a bit of a challenge as well as an art. When we go out, we typically take managers from the site and the district, preferably those that are familiar with the regions that we are visiting. One thing that candidates typically ask for is what types of supports we offer, and so as you may know, we have the induction coaches for them. We have the site TOSAs. We talk about our structured academic support time, as well as the weekly district training through educational services. We are very proud of the relationships that we're building with the universities, specifically with UCR Palm Desert Campus and Cal State San Bernardino Palm Desert Campus. And we have agreements with these universities so that we actually support the student teachers. We provide opportunities for them to do it in our district. The nice thing about that is they get familiar with the district, and it gives us an opportunity to recruit from those individuals. And I know this is a topic that was brought up on a few different occasions to the board. So full disclosure, what we have in front of you is the percentage of students in the different categories, Hispanic, Latino, White, Asian, Black, African American, and other, as compared to the certificated staff. And you will see at the very top, the relationships are inverted. The Hispanic population in Desert Sands right now is just under 76% versus the certificated staff, about 32. And in all fairness, that includes all certificated staff, not just classroom teachers. The opposite relationship happens in our white population, and the point of interest would be the last 3 rows. And one of the things that was brought up to the board is if you go to certain sites, our staff does not reflect our student population. And in other areas, you may go to a particular site where you have, for example, a handful of minority staff members. And so even though those numbers jive a little bit better than the top 2 rows, it is site specific when you go to look at a comparison. Dr. Hyde and I had a great opportunity to attend this conference that was put on by the Department of Education. And the takeaway was to see how the Department of Education is supporting the teacher shortage across the entire country. And there was a lot of discussion on HBCUs, which I'll talk about in a second, as well as the Hispanic Serving Institutes and the teacher pipeline. Just for your information, we actually have attended 2 of the HBCUs last year. One was in Hampton University, and the other was at Norfolk State in Virginia. There's actually 1 HBC in California, but overall in the country, there's about 107. The Hispanic Serving Institutions, there are about 560 in the United States, and to qualify for that, you have to have at least 25% of your undergraduates identifying as Hispanic. And our UCs and Cal States, most of them will qualify as an HSI. The teacher pipeline, as they were talking about at the Department of Education conference, there's a great deal of funding that is going towards universities and organizations to identify early on whether it's a new student going into college, and what they're trying to do is identify them so they can pair them with a teaching credential once they graduate. As was previously mentioned, there are other pipelines that are existing, and as for example with our classified staff, there's a program that several of our staff members are in, and the same concept applies where they're going to get their bachelor's degree attached with a teaching credential. So that's kind of a nice benefit for us to have.
I'm just going to interrupt for just a minute. An HBCU is historically black, and universities and colleges.
So the next step is we want to provide some information on our hiring from this year. And so the chart in front of you shows the 3-year progression of how many folks we hired in multiple subjects. So typically there's our elementary credentialed teachers. And you can notice that across these past 3 years, the total for multiple subject people has remained relatively the same. I just want to point out this year, we had a larger percent of our primary elementary, and that was due to the advancement in the TK program. And then we found out a lot of our retirees were primary teachers. I don't know if that's a reason for that or not, but so that's our multiple subject. And then this year for our single subject in special ed, the top row is the amount of people we hired for special education. And as you can see, from 2021-22 to this year, we've increased the amount of special ed folks that we're hiring, and that's as programs develop and things like that. And you can also see our math, science are always tough to hire. We hired 5 math teachers and 7 science teachers. And then English, the trend in English and history used to be you could hire them all the time. With the shortage, it's getting harder to find single subject English people or teachers. Social studies is still okay. World language was something that we were hit hard with, and I don't know if a lot of Pre-service teachers are going into world language certifications, but it's getting pretty slim. And so our hiring totals for this year, as I mentioned, 50 of the people that we hired were from multiple subject, 30 were single subject, that 24 for special ed, and then we had an additional 26 what we call specialty positions. And of those 26 specialty positions, 21 of those were brand new counselors. So of the total 130 that we hired this year, 109 were actual classroom teachers with the 21 additional counselors. Compare that to with the number of applicants that we get for these positions. And I'm going to put a disclaimer on this. When we, right around February, March of the year, we send out what we anticipate as openings for the next school year. And so once those anticipated openings are posted on EdJoin, our online server, people can apply for them. And so the total applicants for last year were 407. That's as we opened it all the way through till we closed it. What we found out was many of those candidates were also applying for other positions in other school districts. And so, yes, it looks good. We had a total of 407 people apply for our district. Many of those dropped off as different opportunities came along. But you can see how 21, 22, we had a total of 690 applicants, as compared to last year, only 407.
Dan stole one of my slides, it's okay. So this next slide that you're looking at, it's, there's some good news in there and there's some concerning news. The good news is that we filled 41 positions that were promotional with Desert Sands teachers, which is awesome. And generally speaking, these are teachers who have achieved quite a bit, and so to lose them out of the classroom, it's a pretty significant impact. The general consensus is that about 75% of our promotional positions are actually filled by our Desert Sands staff. So we are promoting within. It just creates a vacuum on the backside of that.
So then the last part is of teacher support. And actually when we go on the road and we talk to candidates and prospective teachers, they literally come to us and ask, what kind of support do you provide to beginning teachers? And we're so very proud to say that that's number one priority for us, especially if someone's traveling across the country to a new place. We tell them about our teacher support program. Our initial teacher support program for these new teachers is our certificated employee orientation. And that happens the 3 days before any other teachers come back, and they get to spend time with me, talking about the district, and then we bring in all the other departments to show them what our district's all about. Ed Services does a fantastic job on day 2 to do some breakout sessions where these new teachers can go and learn about their content, learn about their grade level. They get some front loading on our technology. And so those 3 days are well worth it. I think we had 96 in this boardroom in August for our 3-day teacher support for the new teachers. The important thing that we did a little bit different this year is we gave them more time to go back to their sites on those 3 days. Before, we were kind of keeping them isolated in here, and I know as a new teacher, I really wanted to go see my classroom. I really wanted to go meet my other teacher friends that are at my site. So we had two of the days we gave them plenty of time to go back to their site, get to know the people there, get to see their classroom and things like that. The other, our Ed Services Department leads our ongoing teacher support professional development. These 3 graphs show elementary, middle school, and high school, what I call is their required professional development. And so these are either content or grade level specific to what these folks are hired for, right? Additionally, Ed Services has over 100 after-school academies that teachers can take as an option for extra duty. And those range from early literacy, technology, AVID. There's a whole menu of options for all teachers to take advantage of the after-school academies as a support and further professional development. Whoops. And then lastly, our induction program. As you can see, our induction candidates total this year are 96. 47 of those are in their first year of induction, and 49 of those in their second year. In induction, they are assigned an induction coach, a Desert Sands Unified School District teacher that supports them throughout their induction process. We have 84 coaches from Desert Sands that support those 96 teachers. We also have a total of 38 interns that are in our schools this year. And those 38 teachers are also supported by their university, some of them RCOE, and some of them the university, RCOE, and some of our internal coaches. So the coaching aspect of how we continue to support these teachers, as you can see what the candidate wrote, building a relationship with their coach has been the most beneficial, as this has been the common thread that has carried me through the challenges. That one person that they can connect with as they continue their journey along their career. And then finally, peer assistance review, also known as PAR. We have two people in PAR right now. PAR, as you know or may not know, is either involuntary or voluntary. And so we have two people that are taking advantage of PAR in our district this year. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Ms. Beltran, do you have any questions?
Questions at the moment, yeah.
You were telling me about everything else over here right now. You don't. No, great presentation. Thank you. You know, I've always thought, how do we, set the snare? And I think at the end you touched on something that's how I got snared. And it's coaching and internships. And I guess I'd like to see more opportunities of that. And I'd like to thank the families that came out with the coaching thoughts today. Thank you, too. That's how I got hooked in 1988. And I came out coaching. And I'm still coaching. And it led you into a completely another world. And now working in another area where I work with adult ed students, and I tell them all the time, go down and try to volunteer at your school. I mean, the best that you can, get yourself cleared, of course, with your first aid, CPR, et cetera. But I'd like to see more internships. I'd like to see more things of that nature where we get the local talent. I'm one of those guys that I was born at La Casita Hospital, right off of Miles Avenue. It's less than 3 miles from, probably where the crow flies. It's that kind of thing. I think the talent's here. Yeah. I do. I mean, and I think it's other places too, and I think, of course, that brings a multifaceted approach to the learning, and obviously for kids and students. I loved it when I went to school and Mr., was from Michigan or Mr. So-and-so. But I work in a world, too, where all 5 science teachers are from Michigan. And I think, and is there one closer? That's all I'm saying. But I think I like that you're on the right track. Those are my thoughts, my concerns, and of course, we can go into the debt. I see some of the schools that come. Students oftentimes come out. They have a lot of debt, so they're young. It's difficult to find affordable housing. We're not known as. We're known as I think a relatively good deal, respective to the rest of possibly the state and other parts of the country. But at the end of the day, how do we formulate that into a winning hand for those young folks that come in? And I think it's going to take more than us. It's going to take our legislatures and people outside of this area, basically. I mean, we talked about, we said here, student loans, housing, and again, that involvement. Are we offering all the hooks that we can to get our people involved? And are the people in the right places too? Because, if I'm working at one school and I'm coaching at another, it gets hard after a while. And I ask myself, so are the things I want to do around where I want to do, because I want to work with the Natalie's, right? They're right here, and I want to, right? And not have to go, cross town to be able to spend 5 minutes. But anyway, pleasure. Thank you, both of you. Great job. And it's all yours, Dr. Watson.
I know that I asked for this information at the last meeting, so thank you, Dr. Borgen and Dr. Wilson. For clarification, the job fairs that we went to that were unsuccessful, we're not returning there, and are there other opportunities, other job fairs that you're looking at attending?
Yeah, great question. So what we did in personnel is at the end of the recruiting season, we went through every job fair and we talked about it and we took notes and talked about what we saw, who we saw, what we got out of there, right? And we made some really tough calls because there was some traditional, really positive job fairs that have been really fruitful in the past that weren't as fruitful, right? And then part of being on the road in the recruiting is you get to meet other recruiters. And so word of mouth, what was successful for them or whatever. So yes, we did swap up some. We, looking at those graphs and looking at which states are producing more graduates, those are states that we kind of targeted more so for this year. So yes, we're not going to the same places all the time. We've got some variety this year, and hopefully they'll work out for us.
Yes, thank you for this report. It was very detailed. I did wonder if there's a way, all these 400 and some people apply on EdJoin. There's no way to find out where did these people end up, and were some of them out of staters, or did they go to somewhere else within our valley? I mean, it'd be interesting to know. Or they might just be applying in 10, 20 places and hoping for the best deal. I don't know.
I can address some of that. Historically, when you're leaving a teacher prep program, you sort of cast a wide net to figure out who's going to accept you. We're in a place in time now where the candidate pool is so small and the need is so high that you can be really specific about where you want to be. As an example, if, let's say, mom and dad are getting up in age, you want to move towards, pick a city, chances are you're going to get that job offer. And it's not uncommon for us to set up interviews, offer a position, and to be told by that potential candidate, I've got another job offer that I've got to consider, and that's what you're now competing with.
True. Well, thank you. I appreciated the report. Thanks.
What are the incentives for our C2CT program participation?
So it's a grant, and I don't have the specifics on that. Chad Wood in our office takes care of all those statistics. So I'll talk to Chad, and I can get those numbers to you and get the specifics for that CTC program. Oh.
I'm sorry, say it again.
They get 3,200 hours for a year.
Okay.
For each semester, and they're partnered with 3 different colleges. So that's how we're getting them in through the grant. And most of the people that we currently have that are classified in the grant have already had the BA or BS. So we really try and streamline people through so we can get more people into the pipeline and get them started on advancing. So they get
$3,200 per semester.
no,
Per year. Okay, well, maybe looking at that number, because 3,200 doesn't go far anymore. But the next one is, do our visits reflect our efforts to mitigate the data you showed us? You showed us the disparity between staff not reflecting our student population. So our decisions to attend specific job fairs reflecting our efforts and our goals to mitigate that?
That comes in constant conversations within the personnel department and also those that we see on the recruiting trail. We've got great relationships with our 2 neighboring districts, and so we constantly are picking each other's brains, if you will, to figure out what are some of the better recruiting job fairs that we go to. We put that one slide up there to show that obviously we're looking for great candidates that want to come out and love up on our kids. But clearly there's a need to find candidates that better reflect our student population.
So my question still stands. So are we targeting our visits to reflect those goals? Or
I can answer that question, I think. So, yes. Now, I think we attended, I think it was 13 to 14 job fairs in state, and every single job fair that we attended in state was what we call Hispanic serving institution. And so, yes, the data shows that. The other piece is even some of if you look at in general, even though we are attending job fairs in the Midwest and even on the East Coast at some time, most of our out of state is focused on the West. When you think about west of the Mississippi, you think about Utah. We're going to go into Idaho, which, believe it or not, has Hispanic serving institutions as well. Our focus on historical Black and college and universities and building those relationships. So we're actually going to Arizona. It's the first time California's been allowed in an Arizona job fair in, I would say, at least 15 years. So absolutely our focus is on equity and bringing in highly qualified teacher candidates that better represent our student populations. So yes.
I know it's a tough market out there right now, so we thank you for your efforts in ensuring that we don't start a school year off with not enough teachers in the classroom, because ultimately that's our goal, to support our students. So I appreciate the efforts that your department is doing, Dr. Hyde, and you guys for making it happen. So thank you.
Well, all the questions have already, by the time it comes to me, they're already answered. But I just want to say that I love the C2CT program. I think that's great that we're offering that to our employees and that they have the opportunity to do that. So I appreciate you guys doing that. And I too appreciate all your hard work. This was a great report. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thank you, Dan Borgen. It's always great to see you guys. Thank you so much. Potential general obligation bond update, Mr. Aquino.
I'd like to welcome Joy Kumar, our communications consultant regarding the potential bond. You've met her on 2 separate occasions. She's presented to the board in regard to voter demographics, our timeline. She'll now review with you the results of our community survey. But before she gets started, I'd also just like to represent the team that's been responsible for putting a lot of this stuff together behind the scenes. And we have Mary Perry, obviously, who you are very well aware of, our director of Facility Services, Patrick Cisneros. We have in the audience also Carlos Villafuerte, who is our bond counsel, and Adam Bauer, our municipal advisor.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, superintendent, members of cabinet. Joy Kumar with Team Civics. Happy to be back with you tonight. Just kind of a quick recap of the communications that we've been doing over the past few months as you consider a potential GO bond resolution coming up. So you'll remember seeing this timeline before. To qualify for the March 2024 ballot, the board does have to vote for a resolution by December 8th, 2023, and that resolution has to be delivered to the county. So during this past few months, there was a feasibility survey that was conducted of registered voters in the district, asking if they would be supportive of a potential GO bond measure. That survey did show positive results, and it also showed that your community was interested in doing the types of projects that the district wanted to pursue through a GO bond. We did then begin some non-advocacy communications, doing broader outreach to the community. 2 informational mailers were sent on behalf of the district, as well as communications that were done by the superintendent, principals at each school, posters were put up at each school site, and everyone in the community was invited to participate in the online survey and communicate. So finally, we've moved into the measure development, which has produced the resolution, again, that you'll be looking at later tonight. So this just kind of goes through those completed steps that I just talked about. And here is a copy of the latest communication that we just sent last week to all community members. It did include information about that community survey that we made available to the public. And yes, so I have a few more information about that. So the survey was offered in both English and Spanish. It mentioned the priorities that were mentioned throughout our communication materials. It offered people the opportunity to rank them. There were over 1,000 English responses and over 45 Spanish responses. It continues to be available and people are still able to participate if they wish. But you can see, much like what we saw in the voter survey, it matched pretty closely, aligned very well with what we saw even with the voter survey, that voters in your community highly rate these things as important things to undertake as you consider a potential GEO-bond measure. They were also allowed to leave comments. Many people did. Many people really focused on heat issues. They focused on safety issues, just supportive of the district. There were some people who, offered some critiques. Staff has been going through those and getting back to people inappropriately. So that is everything I have about our communication materials. I promised I would be quick, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
How much do the bonds cost?
Well, Adam, do you want to talk cost a little bit? So the GEO-bond is part of the resolution. Adam will come up and talk specifically about the cost.
We need the numbers guy.
Okay, well, thank you. I think the most important way of framing that is when you actually go to sell bonds, how much do the taxpayers have to repay from selling those bonds? And so I'm looking, I wasn't quite expecting that question at this moment, so I'm pulling the file up right now, but I have it here. And so what I've showed the board in the past is a slide that shows the tax rate in a red line and then bar charts that show the different series of bonds that go up to that tax rate. At the bottom of that page, there's a table that says series A, B, C, D, and total. And within that table is something called a repayment ratio. And the district maintains a very high credit rating because of the good economic data in the area and also the district's managing of the general fund and good policies. It maintains a very good rating. So what that means is that investors are willing to loan at a lower rate than they do other districts. So all those things that take that into consideration. But now to get to your question, is the repayment ratio for each one of these. For these 4 series of bonds, when we look at a historical average with your ratings, we have a 2.03 repayment ratio. That means that for the amount of money the district puts to work on projects, the taxpayers pay back a little more than twice that. Now, that is very low. The state standard, or the highest amount you're allowed, is 4 to 1. So to be at 2 to 1 shows, one, we've been in a low interest rate environment. What we aren't today, but we have been for a good period of time. And also that high rating, but a little more than 2 times the amount the district is able to put into projects. Did that answer your question? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Duran.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was going to try to say, so it's kind of like like if you borrow money from mom and dad kind of thing, right? I'm trying to say. So, you borrow 50.
Mom and dad would charge way more than that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they would, yeah.
I'm charging my son 10% for not saving up enough for his bike.
Yeah, compounded daily, even at night.
That's right. And if you don't run a baseball field, it's 15%.
Right. So no, I was trying to put it into those that, so basically you're looking at about doubling it. So if we borrowed 50, we'd have to pay back about 100, right?
Well said.
Okay.
I should have let the dad, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, just look at that. But other people, because we happen to live in an area where we take, we have a good rating, so to speak. Some people would borrow the 50 and have to pay 200 back.
That's correct.
Okay.
Oh, that's the maximum to be allowed to. Yeah, it has to be at least below that.
Well, 199.
That's right. That is a possibility, yes.
All right, thank you.
I think that coaching, you do a good job with the numbers too.
Yeah, he's good. Dr. Watson, Ms. Pierce. No, Mr. Alvarez.
Confirm what I hear you saying, translated into everyday taxpayers, is that we're not going to be asking for more. Rather, we're just extending what we're currently paying.
That is correct. We are looking, this is a tax rate extension. So a little bit different question than before, but yes. We're not, it's not an additive, it's extending out what's already been collected.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I want our neighbors to hear, our constituents to hear, that that's what we're doing. So thank you for it.
Yeah, the school district has done something that's very unique. All its GEO-bond measures have been contained within some specific tax rates. What a lot of districts do, and when I say a lot, I mean like 90% plus, you just take one GEO-bond and stack it on top of another. And so if you had 60, then you had 2, you'd 120, then you had 3, you'd have 180. Here you've been managing to the tax rate and having extensions versus adding or stacking on a tax bill.
Yeah. Well, thank you. As we get older, I just want to repeat that. We're not asking for more. We're just going to extend what we're currently doing. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Coomer, thank you so much for your presentation, and I appreciate. And Mary, thank you so much for all that you do with this. I received my little information thing in the mail today, so it was great to get that. So thank you so much. Okay, public hearing number 02, 2023-2024, proposed conveyance of right-of-way easement and temporary construction easement to the City of Indian Wells. I will open public hearing for number 02, 2023-2024 to anyone who wishes to comment, to please approach the podium. Okay, seeing none. Oh, I guess I need to open it. Hold on, sorry guys. At 8:33 for public comment. Okay, and I will close public hearing at 8:34. I'm dyslexic up here. Let's see. All right, general business services. There are 6 items in general functions. Business services with numbers 1 and 2 being a resolution which requires a roll call vote. Is there a motion to take items 3, 4, 5, and 6 as a group or individually?
I make a motion to take them as a group.
Second that.
Okay, Ms. Beltran, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote? Yep. Yeah, you got to. They need to hear you say it, so that's okay.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with 1 preferential vote. Resolution number 11-2023-2024, authorizing the conveyance of the right-of-way of easement and temporary construction easement to the City of Indian Wells. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 11-2023-24?
I make a motion. Pierce?
Is there a second? Mr. Duran. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. This is a roll call vote. Preferential vote, Ms. Beltran?
Sorry.
Mr. Duran?
Aye.
Dr. Watson?
Aye.
Ms. Pierce?
Aye.
Mr. Alvarez?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Mayor, motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Resolution number 12-2023-2024, resolution of the Board of Education, Desert Sands Unified School District ordering an election and establishing specification of the election order. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 12-2023-2024?
I approve that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Bell. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Beltran?
Aye.
Mr. Duran?
Aye.
Dr. Watson?
Aye.
Ms. Pierce? Mr. Alvarez?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Number 18, general functions, educational services. There are 7 items for general functions for educational services. Is there a motion to take these individually or as a group?
I move we take, I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Duran. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Number 19, general functions, personnel services. There are 6 items in general functions, personnel services, and since this is a personnel item, our student board member will not be voting. Is there a motion to take these items 1 and 2 as a group or individually?
1 and
2. Sorry.
1 through 6? Can I do 1 through 6?
6 items, so.
Yeah, I make a
I don't
motion
know
to take
why.
1 through 6 as a group.
I would like to take 5 and 6 separate.
Second that.
So 1 through 4 as a group?
I'll motion that.
Okay, that was Trish.
No, that was Kylie.
And
Kylie.
Oh, Kylie. Okay, who? I thought Trish made the motion to.
Well, she said for 1 through 6.
I
I'd like to
withdraw
take 5
mine.
and 6 separate. 5 and 6 can go together.
Okay, so we've got to do 1 through 4 first, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll motion that.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Kylie seconded.
Yeah, I changed my motion to taking 1 through 4 as a group.
Okay,
Does that work?
yes, so let's do that. So 1 through 4. Is there any discussion on that, 1 through 4? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, so now we're going to do 5 and 6. Is there a motion to accept 5 and 6?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Make a second.
Trish?
Pierce?
Well, it's
Personnel.
personnel.
Oh, it's personnel, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
my bad.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Dr. Watson.
Okay, so I have quite a bit to say on this. Multiple times, I think that people have asked in open session for the results of the survey, and I don't feel that we've been transparent in providing that. So as a board, we've been given the information on the start date timeframes that were in the survey from both staff and from families. I don't believe, from what I recall, have ever received the priority list from the survey. I think there was maybe like 8 or 9 things in that priority list. So rewind back in about April, I asked for this survey, even though I believe that it was biased towards high school needs. Based on what the community has said to me, I already knew, even with a biased survey, what the results would be, that our community, that our parents, and our staff would, as a majority, like a later start date. I'm assuming that the top 2 priorities were the start date and ending before winter break. However, the latter was listed twice on the survey. With power of persuasion, if that was listed as a top 2 priority, I think by listing it separately, by asking families and staff if they wanted the first semester to end before winter break, you were putting that in their mind to select it. So I don't think that that was accurate if it was one of the top 2. So just to look at the actual results of the survey. So the parent survey, 41.7% of parents requested that we start after Labor Day. 23.1% of parents wanted a late start date. That's a total of 64.8% of our parents want a later start date. Our staff, 28.6%, asked for after Labor Day start date. 23.1% wanted a late start, a late August start, a traditional start. So in total, 51.7% of our staff wants a later start date. So the pros and cons list that we received for the 3 calendar options that the committee put together, I do not believe are representative of what the community is saying from elementary and middle school. I believe wholeheartedly that the health and well-being of our students is the most important, not our test scores. If our kids are not healthy, if they are not getting the fundamentals, the foundations at elementary school, it doesn't matter by the time they get to high school. We do not have the facilities in place for our children to be in school in the middle of August heat. It's not fair and it's not okay for our kids to be eating outside when it's 110, 115 degrees or above that. And I guarantee not one of us sitting up here is eating outside in the middle of August, in the middle of the day. We're not eating lunch outside. And I guarantee you nobody on that calendar committee is doing the same thing. But we're expecting our children to do that. Even with the heat mitigation plans that are in place, our MPRs are used for recess, they're used for PE, and in some instances they're used for prep classes, like Washington Charter uses it for a music class. So even with our heat mitigation plans, our kids are eating outside in this heat. That's not fair to them. So one of the arguments I hear a lot from high school is the mental health, and I get it. I really do get that the mental health is important of our kids, but the argument is that it's too much stress, the assignments and projects that we're assigning to our kids over winter break. They should be doing nothing over winter break. Well, if we really care as staff, the mental health of our children over winter break, then don't assign those projects. Don't assign the assignments. Let them study. Let them be prepared for their finals if they choose to be. Give them the life skills so that they can study and be prepared. We can't start our high schools any earlier. Our kids are getting out at 3:30 in the afternoon. If they have jobs, if they have sports, by the time they're getting home, they don't have time to study. So give them that winter break to study, to retain the information and pass their finals. So basically, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that this is the best that the committee could come up with. Pushing the calendar 1 week, it's embarrassing to ask our families and our staff what they think, and in turn, turn around and suggest something that doesn't actually listen to them. I don't believe that pushing the calendar by 1 week is listening that we want a later start, and whether it's after Labor Day or it's not. If you pushed it 2 weeks, that's a compromise, but pushing it 1 week is embarrassing that we asked our families and we asked our staff and we're not listening to them. And I know because I am a parent of 3 kids that are sitting out there in 110, 115 degrees eating lunch, an 8-year-old that had heat stroke multiple times, and this wasn't even a really, really hot August like it was last year. So I'm disappointed that this is the calendar that we came up with. I know that the constituents that I've talked with are disappointed that this is the calendar that we've come up with, and I think that we can do better than this.
Yes. Just a couple of notes and just some questions maybe. I think we can do better than starting on a Friday. I don't want to start on a Friday. I got a lot of questions on that, so I just wanted to share the feedback that I got about starting on a Friday. There's on October 11th, a non-student day, maybe get rid of that, and put it on, get rid of that Friday and start the following week. Who is on the committee? I got a lot of questions on who's on the committee. Let's share that out. Who is on the committee, so that way the public gets to hear who's on that committee.
Would you like me to tell you now, or? Okay, so the committee consists of four representatives from DSTA's perspective and 4 district representatives. And so I'll name them by memory, and hopefully I'll get it right. I might call on Trina for her assistance. I'll start with DSTA's representative, and Trina Elisa Gonzalez. She serves on the committee as kind of a member at large, I would say. And our elementary representative from DSTA is Kimberly Jenkins from Amelia Earhart. We have Anna Harris, who represents middle schools from DSTA. And then we also have Monica Ujic, who teaches at Shadow Hills High School, and she represents the high schools. From the district standpoint, I'm on the committee, again, as sort of a member at large. And then our elementary representative is Dr. Karen Schibler. Our middle school representative is Dr. Dan Borgen, and our high school representative is Rudy Wilson.
It's a fair group. We have a group that represents the district, if you will, and then a group that represents certificated. Is there classified on there?
No, it's just it is a certificated district committee that's part of the contract, actually.
Got it. So then they have their representatives. So they have
Correct.
Concerns, they can contact their group.
Yes.
Got it. And I want to confirm, my understanding with the heat mitigation plans was so that the students don't eat outside. So, yeah, so I'm hearing that. But the purpose is that so that they don't eat outside. Can each school, do we have the capability to ensure that the students are not eating outside during those excessive heat days or those hot days during, the times where it's too hot to eat outside? Do we have the facilities for that, one? And is it communicated to the principals that during these times, part of the heat mitigation plan is that we eat indoors?
As far as having the capability, the capacity, yes. Every school could potentially have all their kids eat in their multipurpose room. There would, by design, some schools have schedules that don't permit that. So they would, maybe have to do a special schedule to accommodate something like that. But each of those schools have created mitigating measures with porta-coolers, misting systems that, Ford's kind of a primary example of that, where he's got one lunch and has those other measures in place, and it is actually a cool environment just based on what they put together for that. But to answer the question could that be a possibility if they had structured scheduling? Yes.
So maybe we just need to scrutinize the plans more to ensure that the students are eating outside, and the school establishes a schedule in which the students during those times do eat inside, as that is ultimately the concern that's coming forward. Does that seem reasonable? Yep.
Can I follow up with that? So you're telling me that there's a way for all of our elementary students to eat lunch and have recess and schedule PE all in the MPR?
It would be a very creative schedule.
Unlikely.
It'd be a creative schedule, but it could potentially happen.
You would have to, you'd have to move PE into classrooms, right? So you're right, you couldn't have PE and the NPR at the same time.
So if you move PE into a classroom, then they're really not truly getting physical education, as our middle school PE teachers have said multiple times, that they're sitting in a multi-purpose room for a month, maybe longer, watching a video, not truly getting physical education because we don't have the facilities in place.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, definitely PE has to be modified during those times. And I would say it has to be modified even if you take it in the multipurpose room, those are limited spaces. And so they're not going to be able to do what they could do outdoors because we have to bring them in, right? So, and then recess, again, has to be modified because you've got all those kids indoors. So when you're talking lunch at an elementary school, as you know, right, we're talking a whole grade level or 2 whole grade levels being in there at once. So during a recess time or during a lunch time. And so, yeah, they're not going to get the activity that they would get if they were outside. It's just too hot for that when we bring them in. So, yeah.
Kelly, if I may also just piggyback on some of the comments that were made, just to highlight some of the board's efforts of recent to help mitigate some of the strategies as we come up with a more strategic plan to address the heat. And that is the board has approved porta-coolers at the schools as a temporary relief for any time there's a situation for short-term outside use. The board has also authorized a $20 million initiative for shade structures that our director of facilities has just recently met with all the principals and prioritized 4 different placements of shade structures on our campuses. In addition to that, and in response to the community survey, upgrading inadequate cooling shade structures, heating, and electrical systems was the top priority from the voters. And so I think the board has taken a lot of actions to help mitigate, and we will continue to work on that from the district's perspective.
Well, and my understanding is that when, Dr. Watson, you said that the kids are out there at 110. They can't be out there. They're not supposed to be out there when it's over 102, right? Isn't there a certain heat? No, I'm just saying it. I mean, isn't that?
So our risk management department weekly, when it's times of really hot temperatures, sends out to our administrators basically our heat mitigation strategies outline how the school would ultimately respond in a situation where the combination of high temperatures and humidity are in a range that is not acceptable. And so there is an orange, and forgive me, I don't remember the actual index levels, but the schools each outline a plan that is in response to the different categories that they're in based on temperature and humidity.
But I don't believe the OSHA factor goes into play for the eating. I think it goes into play for the outside activity of PE and recess. Is that right?
So OSHA ultimately is response. That's a workplace. That's not a regulation for instruction.
I think to your point, I think your question is, when we look at that heat and humidity index, you're right. At each level, there's a recommendation. Do you just reduce outdoor activity? Do you cease outdoor activity? And it's talking about activity outdoors. So there are different recommendations with each heat level, I think is what you're talking about.
And I was wondering, with our large cooling portable coolers, do we have any, maybe Patrick knows. Look, he woke up.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Patrick,
Come on, Trish.
do the temperatures actually, can we say they drop 10 degrees in the area where the kids are with the misters and that? Does it really do that? Or is it moving the air and giving the feeling of cooler?
The combination, because the schools, depending on how they're scheduling, are moving students in and out, and it's kind of like a rotation. So the closer you are, I'm guessing that the cooler it is. I want to thank Patrick for responding to my text messages while his head was down.
Patrick, I was just kidding you anyway.
But the schools have a combination of either a missing system that they've installed or the porta-coolers that we've provided to them.
It's obviously a desert decision, I can tell you that. It's not going to get any cooler. High schools have the same problem too. I mean, when we get to that level, we mitigate heat. I think it's gotten hotter, folks, and it's a very, very difficult decision to make because, I mean, we got to get out there, mitigate the heat. We also have schools that are large and cafeterias that are trying to feed people within a certain amount of time and getting it all done. I've worked at middle school and high school level, and it does seem that it's getting hotter. I know currently I'm at a place where they, I think I looked at the schedule, it's going to be August 7th when we start or something like that. I think it takes it not, just saying it, I think the PE people really get hit the hardest sometimes. I mean, lunch is out there for 30 minutes or whatever it is, 40, and PE, you're out there for 50, 55 by the time you get to the end of the day. So it's definitely something that I have the confidence that the crew, the folks that we have here today, our cabinet, our staff, and working with principals and everybody together, that we can come up with a better solution. And I think this is just a one year, right? Those two? Well, is it, and it's contractual, right? So then we end up being in the deal. Well, I like to be one of those guys you can always revisit. So, but with that said, I mean, I think it's just one of those things where you start pushing it one way, and then it's going to get to the high school people, then it starts to affect the curriculum and et cetera, and they're trying to get done to, they can have classes with the college and those things, and I do feel for them, because even as far back as I can remember, I like to always think that, gosh, why couldn't we just get done before we went on holiday? Because you came back and it was just kind of all your head spinning around, and sometimes you felt like you come back and, I don't know, the first week was just make-up time. But I do feel the passion for this extremely delicate position that we have, and I, for one, don't want to see anybody out in the heat eating in any degree of temperature that they're not comfortable with. But with this said, that's all I can tell you. That finishing, I think, is important. It goes down the line, and I hope we can get those coolers out there and the mitigating things as quickly as we can. And thank you. How do you feel? I'd like to ask, are you okay with that? The heat at lunch?
Personally, I had to ask our principal during August, to let us go in the NPR and set up tables for the students, and luckily he did agree with us, and he let all the students eat there during lunch or whenever we needed to.
I had 2 comments. I was just wondering, and I used to be on the committee, but there is that chunk of classified. I never thought of that. I know it's not in their contract for representation, but they're the other half of our 3,000 employees. And I don't know, maybe they should think about putting that in their contract too, and getting their voice, as far as their voice isn't on the survey, actually.
Just incidentally, we have invited CSEA at times to attend meetings. Last year, President Parra actually attended some of our planning sessions because there was a question about the June ending date. So,
but they get input too. They actually.
That's a good question. Dan, did that go out to all staff? Yeah, it went out to all staff.
All staff. Okay, well, at least the voices then were heard. And the second thing is, I know when I moved here 30 years ago, 35, I was surprised that we ate outside. But then, I was surprised. And then I wondered, and I don't even know to this date, Coachella, every school eats indoors. Only indoors. And their schools were designed that way. And I'm wondering about Palm Springs. I don't know if our facilities people know, do they have all indoor? No? Oh, yeah, you do. You know.
Michael would know.
Okay, so those are things that when we look for planning, we already know. We've talked about this in our facilities planning. We want places that we can put the PE and put this and that really need to change, especially with this climate changing and the temperatures getting hotter, as well as I know that our PE teacher was in the multipurpose room. We wouldn't have assemblies or anything in elementary school in September, because we knew that at least for September they were needing to take the multipurpose room. So it would have to be a very creative schedule to fit everything around, especially at a big school like Earhart, maybe some smaller ones. It is a very big situation that it's going to take some foresight to correct for the future and build this into the schools. And we can see that people want that, and I agree with that.
I want to piggyback off of something you just said, and it has to do with our classified staff. And my thoughts, obviously you can tell I feel very strongly about this. They're not just about our kids, but our yard supervisors are standing out there in peak heat in August, and they have no shade. They have no way to keep cool. I bought our yard supervisors cool rags to put around their necks because I felt bad for them, because they're sitting out there at dismissal and they do a really good job at getting those kids in their cars. They know those kids, and I appreciate every ounce that they put into their job. And we're not thinking about them. And all I'm saying is that I think the calendar committee should revisit this, and I think that we can come up with a better compromise than 1 week.
I trust that our team was going to make sure that, I guess everyone understands the intent is that the students eat indoors during those times, and that do what you have to do with your creative scheduling, but the intent is that our heat mitigation plan includes their eating indoors. I mean, can't make it any clearer. So.
All right. So we've already gone through the, okay, so all those in favor say aye for 5 and 6. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, we did.
Yep. Aye.
Aye, Michael. Okay, any opposed? Hold on, Kylie. Trish. Any abstentions? What did you vote?
Okay. Yeah. Aye.
I vote aye. So motion carries 3-2. Okay. General function student support services, there are none. General function superintendent, the annual organizational meeting of the Board of Education. Is there a motion to approve Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, 7 p.m. at the District Education Center boardroom as the day, time, and location of the annual organizational meeting of the Board of Education? Beto, is there a second?
Second, Pierce.
Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with 1 preferential vote. Consent items, student matters. Dr. May Vollmer.
Yes, tonight in closed session, the board took action to approve stipulated expulsion case number 23/24-05 on a motion made by trustee Alvarez, seconded by trustee Pierce, and the motion carried 5-0.
Consent items, business services. There are 16 items in general functions, business services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
I make a motion to make it as a group.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Duran. Any discussion?
Oh, just good to see those esports clubs, okay? And the cash donations, I always like to give credit to the folks that just reach deep in and give more than they have to. And thank them all for us, please. Thank you.
Okay, calls for the question. Preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with 1 preferential vote. Consent items for educational services. There are 22 items in general functions educational services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
I make a motion to take it as a group.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with 1 preferential vote. Consent items, personnel services, there is none. 26, consent items, student support services, there are 8 consent items for student support services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
I move we take consent items 26, 1 through 8 as a group.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question, preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with 1 preferential vote. Consent items, superintendent, there is none. Personnel actions certificated, Dr. Hyde.
Yes, I'm excited and to announce that we have 1 retirement in our certificated group, and that's Gina Pitt, teacher at Adams Early Childhood Learning Center, and Gina's retiring after 24 years of service to the district.
Since this is a personnel item, our student board member will not be voting. Is there a motion to approve this recommendation?
So moved.
Mr. Duran, is there a second?
Second.
So, any discussion? I just want to say congratulations to Gina, and you made it to the finish line. And enjoy your retirement. Let's see. Calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Personnel actions classified, Dr. Hyde.
Okay, actually we have quite a few retirements to announce, exciting. 6 all in total from our classified team. First is Octavio Amavisca, who is a groundskeeper 1. He's retiring from the district after 20 years. Leah Barella, I think Leah's in the audience. She works in fiscal services and she's retiring after 17 years of service. Congratulations.
Yay.
Francis Espinoza, who's the administrative assistant at at Washington Charter School, retiring after 18 years of service.
Wow.
Joey Quintana, transportation. He's retiring after 26 years of service. And Linda Stoddart. She's the administrative assistant at Palm Desert Charter Middle School, who's also retiring after 18 years of service. And last but certainly not least, Rosa Torres, who is an office specialist bilingual at Carrillo Ranch Elementary School, is retiring after 20 years of service. So kind of a remarkable number. These employees have 119 combined years of service to the district. So let's recognize that. That's amazing.
Nice. Okay, since this is a personnel item, our student board member will not be voting. Is there a motion to approve this recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Duran, any discussion? I just want to say congratulations, Leah. Super excited for you. We'll miss you. Okay, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Call it a closed session actions, Dr. May Bulmer.
Yes, tonight in closed session, the board took action to approve confidential student matter request to postpone a hearing on student case number 23-24-01 on a motion made by Trustee Duran, seconded by Trustee Alvarez. The motion carried 5-0. On general release and settlement agreement SSS number 05/2023-2024 on a motion made by Trustee Alvarez and seconded by Trustee Dr. Watson, the motion carried 5-0. General release and settlement agreement SSS number 6/2023-2024 on a motion made by Trustee Alvarez and seconded by Trustee Pierce, the motion carried 5-0. General release and settlement agreement SSS number 07/2023-2024 on a motion made by Trustee Dr. Watson, seconded by Trustee Pierce, the motion carried 5-0. And then on agenda item, public employee appointment. In closed session tonight, the board approved the appointment of the following individuals. Certificate management recommendation, the first was Heidi Allen for coordinator of special education. And the second is for Diane Tijerina for principal of Jackson Elementary School. It was passed on a motion by Trustee Alvarez and seconded by Trustee Pierce, and it was a unanimous vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, suggestions for future agendas that will receive at least 3 votes. Ms. Beltran.
Suggestions.
You, Mr. Duran.
You know, the only thing that came to mind and I thought about was, and I'm dating myself here, but years ago, you know, I was thinking about the presentation for the teachers and how we used to give staff development credit classes. And I don't know why I don't know if we can investigate that again. I would think, look, I know a lot of people when they come over or whatever, they, you know, people like me were all the way over down, but you start out and it was always expensive. I couldn't afford it. It was $300 to get 2 credits or something, and you kind of chipped away. And maybe that was some way to lead into when we nabbed those folks that came from other places and to say, hey, look, we'll try to help you move along the salary schedule. I don't know if something can be thought, because I used to love those classes. You know, we used to have a brochure. We did. And you would get it in your mailbox and you would go and you go like, oh, look, I'm going to take this class, you know, with Coach Rice, or I'm going to take this class with so-and-so. And you'd go out there and it'd be nominal, be $4, $8, whatever it was. And you would get, if you needed the credits, you had to pay for the university. I know that we'd work deals out with the universities. Something like that, I don't know, just to make it affordable so people could. Otherwise, you know, you never have time. You're driving to UCR, you're driving to, you know, wherever the heck, APU, and they're doing that stuff. I don't know. Maybe I've spoke too long.
We can,
okay.
Oh, do you want to, Dr. Hyde would like to.
I just want to let you know we actually do that now. Yeah, we continue ed. We have people that actually take continue ed classes at COD and are able to use that towards credit on the salary schedule. So,
but I don't even want to drive to COD. You know, no, because I asked the other day for some folks, and then they did push me to HR. You know, we talked to one of your specialists there. And then sometimes too, then I'll throw the curveball. Then things for counselors. Because sometimes, you know, we're over there learning about universal whatever, you know, and training, and you're like, why am I here? And just those kinds of things, or maybe other things. For example, what I was talking about earlier, you would go out and the science people would lead hikes, and you'd go up into the mountains and you'd learn about the botany or the life, I took a class from a lady once that was at Amistad, and it was about a book that they'd read, you know, Running with the Wolves, and you would read it, and you know, it wouldn't be like a meal, but you'd get 1 credit. You could move slowly over, just something. You know, not like, I don't want to go to COD and park. You ever park? It's like, it's a madhouse.
Mr. Watson. Ms. Pierce.
I have none.
Mr. Alvarez. None. I just want to ask about if we can have some sort of whatever we can do to help the girls' baseball, softball, sorry, that we can do now. Is there any kind of a plan that we can implement, you know, in the near future, or do we have to wait for the bond to come through? Do you know what I mean? That we can
Depending on how extensive, I'd say just initially, as far as a response, we've been speaking with the principal, Amara, but right now, so we've taken on the scoreboard replacement. So we just asked, I believe, Mr. Amara and Director of Facilities to coordinate with regard to the scoreboard, and I believe we're looking to get an architect on that, and so we could get the architect on the next agenda, I believe, for the board to approve. That way we get the plan started, because it's going to require DSA approval because of the height of the scoreboard, et cetera. So that's one area. The other area, and Mr. Amara reached out to me to have a placeholder at the next board meeting for the lasering of the fields. So they're looking at a particular vendor that they have expressed that they want to utilize for that. One of the other concerns that was brought to my attention was the batting cages. So those are areas that we can explore. If we were to do something extensive like the baseball field project, that would require just more time, and you know, obviously that was a pretty extensive plan. It was a long process for us to do that. I think one of the things I can also reiterate, as far as the language is concerned, with regard to one of the comments made about the baseball fields and PE being listed on there, but that was also something that can extend to things like athletic fields. So that was an added language that we added to that, just to be clear to voters.
Okay, because I was thinking like the Gophers, and is there any way to like,
That's
you know,
part of the lasering of the
that's
field.
that whole lasering is what that is, okay.
Does that, to go with what you were saying, does that involve doing the state architect and all that when we just fix ground levels and
No.
fix things like that? We can like, and when does their season start?
Not sure when the season starts, but if we were to hit all cylinders with the board approving the architect, because we would also need a
Starts in February.
we would also need to get the, I just lost my train of thought now, but that would be to the manufacturer of the scoreboard. So once the board approves that, then we could get going with regard to getting the scoreboard manufactured, which will also take some time. But even hitting all those cylinders, just know the DSA process typically takes anywhere from 4 to 6 months right off the bat.
But that's just, the scoreboard has to be the, yeah. What kind of alternate scoreboard could they use in the meantime? They have a non-working scoreboard totally?
So we've tried repairing it. I'm not sure what the status is right now, if they've been able to get it working. But our goal would be to try to get that working. If that's not doable, then we'd have to explore other options.
We just bring the boys went over and hold it up temporarily during the games and then take it back? Maybe.
We could certainly get that done.
Okay, one last thing. Is it possible to speed it up, like we only have one meeting this month and one next month, to hold a special meeting just to approve this scoreboard getting going quicker? I mean, we waste a whole month.
That is an option, and we could, I could discuss that with the superintendent, and they could bring that to the board for their consideration.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education will be December 12th in the District Education Boardroom, 47950 Dune Palms Road, La Quinta, California, 92253. We will let me finish the sentence, reconvene to closed session, but we will not be coming back to call out. So, I mean, we'll come out to close, but we're not going to have any call out. So, anyway, so thank you. We'll be back.